Hi, guys, and welcome to episode 38 of Breaking Through, the Alina Obovian podcast. This week, I am sitting down with my friend and KTLA colleague, Lou Parker. Lou is an Emmy and Genesis Award-winning journalist. She's an animal advocate, author, and an entrepreneur. For nearly 2 decades, she has anchored the news at KTLA, covering some of the most defining stories of our time, from natural disasters to presidential elections. Before her career in journalism, Lou made history as Miss USA, a title that opened doors, but also came with challenges that shaped her resilience and her determination. Beyond the camera, Lou has navigated the complexities of being a woman in the public eye, from pageants to high-profile relationships, all while wrestling her own search for identity and authentic voice. Today, she speaks openly about that journey, sharing what it means to move through success, struggle, and self-discovery to arrive at a place of gratitude, self-love, and purpose. Miss Lou, welcome to the show.
Hi, Alina.
I don't know
We
why.
did it.
We did it.
Yes.
I don't know why I always want to say Miss Lou, just because you're a Southern belle.
I am.
And
a
you don't get a
Southern
lot
belle.
of Southern belles in LA.
You know, you're so right. And my accent is even stronger now because my mom moved here 2 years ago. So a lot of people are saying, "Where are you from?" I hear an accent. And I'm like, "What? Why now?" But it's just because I'm talking to her on a daily basis.
Right.
So it's really interesting. So Miss Alina.
Miss Alina. Well, Miss Alina's from Glendale, so you're in my hometown.
It's a beautiful drive over here. Glendale's amazing.
Isn't
it's
it
so
nice?
beautiful in the
I love
mountains.
Glendale.
Yeah. It's
When
really
people
nice.
say, that's way too east,
Mhm.
it is, but it's such a nice little bubble here too.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm glad we finally did this. It's interesting that we talk almost every day, but through the camera,
Yes.
right? On KTLA. But then we don't see each other in person that much.
I know.
Yeah.
I've heard your voice in my ear every day almost for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
Mhm.
But you don't really connect with someone until you really connect with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's interesting how certain people you connect with, I've always liked your energy. So I think
Likewise.
it's one of those things that you just kind of find each other when you're supposed to.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. It took us 10 years.
Yeah.
But we're here. Well, welcome. I'm
Thank
really
you.
excited for this conversation.
Thanks, me too.
So let's get started with where you're from. You're a Southern belle. Walk us through, who Little Lou was.
Little Lou. I've been thinking of Little Lou a lot lately, the inner child of Little Lou. I think it's so important to reflect on things like that. But from South Carolina, born and raised there. And my parents divorced when I was around in 5th grade. And so I had the best of both worlds growing up because my dad was a golfer and more by the country club playing golf. But my stepfather we lived out 2 hours away in a really small town in South Carolina. So there were, like motorcycles and horses. And I had 2 stepbrothers and my brother and dogs and just country barefoot. And it was beautiful because I had both to learn from and to live in. And so I think for me, being able to live that life really helped solidify and ground me to then bounce out into what I consider the real world.
The real world.
Where it's a little more unsafe.
Right.
That was a very safe way to grow up.
Did it feel unsafe to try new things, especially the pageant world?
It didn't. It's fascinating to me. I sometimes think like, why me? Like, why was I the one who said, there was always something inside that said, there's more. There's something else. Nothing better, just there's something out there. And it evolved into, I was teaching high school after college.
Okay.
Well, right after college, actually, I was following the Grateful Dead.
The what?
The Grateful Dead.
The Grateful Dead.
It's a band. You don't know
Okay.
the Grateful Dead?
No.
Girlfriend. Okay, so
sorry.
it's okay. It's this beautiful band. Jerry Garcia?
Sounds familiar.
Okay. So anyway, I was following that band. It's a kind of a hippie type band. Having the best time of my life, but like not making any money and had already graduated from college. And so ended up going to graduate school, then taught high school at 22, which
Where
was
were you teaching?
English lit.
Okay.
And I
can see that.
loved it. I loved the kids. We just had so much fun, especially that age, because at that age, my first time I taught was like, ninth grade. And so it was really a time where I was a child as well in a weird way, right? Because I skew a little younger sometimes emotionally. So we just had the best time. But even with that, I was like, what's next? Like and a pageant letter came in the mail. I had competed when I was younger. And this letter came in the mail because remember back then it wasn't internet or website or anything. It was literally a letter, and it said you could be the next Miss USA, the cash and prizes, blah blah blah. And I immediately thought I can't afford this, right? To get a dress,
it's expensive.
And yes, and also on a teacher's salary,
Right.
But I did look at the age, and it said 18 to 27 was the range, right? And I do remember sitting at my desk in my little apartment and thinking to myself, if I don't do this, I don't want to be 28 or heaven forbid 40 and look back and say I could have done this. And so I called my mom and said, hey, this is what's happening. And she said, I'll help you. And I won Miss South Carolina USA like 3 months later, and then Miss USA 6 weeks later. And immediately my life changed.
And you almost didn't even take that chance.
And I almost didn't take the chance. And I don't know what had me take the chance or why not, right? Maybe is what I was thinking, why not? It's a great way to get in shape. It's a great way to...
Oh, motivationally, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I competed when I was 25, the same thing.
Yeah.
I got the email.
Yeah.
It was a little later, so I got the email.
Yeah.
It was from Miss California. And I remember thinking the exact same thing. I was 25, the cutoff is 27. And I always grew up looking up to pageants. It's something my mom and I always did.
Oh, that's
We
nice.
would pick the winners for Miss Universe. And it was just, I just love them. And I think they represent poise and beauty and elegance. And it just, especially back then, it was a different feeling. I said, I'm going to compete. And I did. I didn't even place. But, that wasn't my path.
Yes.
But it's so beautiful to say, I'm going to put myself out there and try this thing.
I really, and congratulations that you did that, because that's the whole point, is like making a decision. First of all, making a decision is like a hard part sometimes, right? And then just following through with it. And even if you don't place at all or you get first runner up, that happened to me a couple of times as well, you still win, right? You still win because you did it. And by winning, it really helped me learn confidence, also to find my voice even back then, because I had a coach, this guy who I'd met at a hair salon. He just worked with me for free. He just was so excited to be a part of the pageant world. He taught me two things. One, we would go through the newspaper, because again, the newspaper was the thing back then. But to solidify like what your opinions are about things in life. Like how do you feel about this topic, and this topic? How do you feel about this, and this? And so I actually had to voice that, which was really important. But he also taught me manifestation, and I don't even think he realized that he was teaching me manifestation in that. And it was great advice that I still try to listen to today, even though I'm not wearing a crown outside. But he would say, when you go to school to teach, when you go to the post office, when you go to the gym to work out, you leave this apartment with a crown already on your head. You are already Miss USA. And that visualization, I think, helped me win the pageant.
Wow.
Yes. But think about it now, 150 years later.
You're right. Stop.
If you think about it, if there's something you want, or people who are listening today, that something that they really want, visualize yourself already there, right? I used to visualize myself as an anchor in LA. I would dream about it and I would cry about it and I would see myself there. And if you can do it, feels weird and it feels silly, but your mind really doesn't know the difference between reality and falsehood.
Your mind believes the energy that you take on.
Yes.
Wow. So you took on this energy as Miss USA.
Yeah.
What was the moment like when you won?
Honestly, I don't know if I remember it because I remember being there, or if I remember it because I've watched it so many times. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, it was so numbing. It's something I really wanted. and had dreamed about. But when it actually happens and they say, and the next Miss USA is Lou Parker from South Carolina, that whatever, and she'll also compete in Miss Universe, like go on and on and on. Mm-hmm. It was, obviously, it was one of those feelings. It was overwhelming. I was so proud of my mom and my dad and my brother and my stepdad at the time for, being around and supporting me, and all of my friends supporting me. And then just my life changed in an instant. They immediately moved me to Los Angeles because that's where the company was based at the time. And I fell in love with Los Angeles. And I think that's what eventually brought me back here.
Where were you first living when you moved here?
On Wilshire Boulevard over in Westwood.
Oh.
Yeah. I lived on the 5th floor with a chaperone, and Miss Universe lived on the 6th floor with a chaperone. And I just traveled around the country and did corporate events. I would go to high schools because I was a former teacher, but I also had to compete and get ready for Miss Universe, which was a whole nother competition. That was intense. That was held in the Philippines.
Wow.
Yes, with 80 other women from around the world, which was pretty incredible. And what I loved about that pageant was that, there were so many languages. A lot of us couldn't actually have conversation, right? But we learned to be together for 5 or 6 weeks without those conversations. But I also figured out there is no definition of perfection and beauty, because what someone thinks is beautiful in Asia is not in South Africa or South America or the United States or England. So it's every woman had won in their country for their country, but it was more than external beauty. It was more of what they were able to bring along with that beauty, right? Being able to speak and being able to share their purpose and their passion at that young of an age. And it really just taught me that that form of perfection that everyone thinks, oh, well, she has to be perfect to win Miss Universe. Well, typically you look pretty or whatever, but the perfection component, it is something I've really struggled with over the years because I've tried to define it and there's no definition. We're always trying to be perfect.
The standard is ever evolving.
Yes. Yes.
How did you feel about yourself now being on a bigger stage with 80 women? How did you identify who you are and sort of stand with that confidence?
Well, I was the same. I still had the same attitude. I still felt confident. I still was doing my work and remembering exactly what I stood for, what I believed in. I do believe that we had these little sisters that were so amazing. They were little Filipino girls. Her name was Jade. She's probably 30 now. But I remember her being on stage. She greeted me when I was in the top 10 or 12 for evening gown. And I sometimes think I got so focused on her, I got emotional and was focused on her that I actually forgot, we forget we're on TV sometimes, forgot that I was even on stage, so then I had to compose myself again and then present. But it was amazing. I made it to the top 6 and then, yeah, and it was cool. It was Miss India who ended up winning, Shashmita Sen. And it was just, I totally believe it's your time. It was my time to win Miss USA. It was her time to win Miss Universe. It just was a moment, it was just one of those moments in time. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to do it all.
It's such an incredible moment and such an incredible experience.
Thanks.
That's what I dreamed about too.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my path.
Yeah.
And, it's so, I'm girl crushing over that right now because it really is. It's special. And I know the hard work and the dedication that goes into it. But people don't realize sometimes what you also get out of it.
Yes.
For me, it was at a time in my life where my first wedding was canceled. And this is to my ex-husband. And it was the greatest therapy that I didn't know I needed at the time.
Interesting.
Because I said to him, look, we just went through something very traumatic. I need to now go focus on myself. And I'm going to do it through competing in a pageant. Because while I'm still unmarried, I can do it, right?
Right.
So I went and I competed and I had fun, but I really put myself through the training and the introspective work, because you have to really know who you are.
You do.
To put yourself through such a big competition. And it was great because I think that's the purpose that it played in my life. And I'm grateful for that too.
Yeah, it's dedication. It's dedication to a decision.
Yes.
Right.
And following through and giving it your best.
And kudos to your ex-husband for saying, go do it.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened after that? You came back to LA. Did you just stay in LA?
So I was here for a year as Miss USA. Then I give it up a year later. And then I stayed in town and kind of dabbled in acting, but I was the worst actress ever. And I hated it. I just felt uncomfortable the whole time. Like,
really?
Well, yeah. And I don't think I was in touch with my emotions. So I couldn't like cry on command or be angry on command because I didn't even know what those, I was always like, hey, everybody, and like everything's great.
Being in pageants and being in movies, two totally different things.
Totally different.
The confidence, the access to yourself, very different.
No access to myself at that time. And as life has it, the CBS station in Charleston, South Carolina had followed me because I was a local girl who had won the pageant, won Miss USA. They even followed me to Universe in the Philippines. I still don't know today if they created an education reporter's job or it just happened to be created. And my agent at the time said, hey, there's this job in Charleston, South Carolina. Would you be interested? And I said no, because I wanted to stay in LA. I didn't want to go back. And long story short, after about 3 interviews, I kept saying no, 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 no. I asked my acting coach, I said, I'm being offered this job, don't want to go back, but it is on camera. And his advice was, as long as you're on camera, you're working, you're creating your craft, or you can just stay here, not just, but you can stay here and continue to act or try to act. It's probably like, get out of my class.
I'd be better off there.
So I took his advice and I went at I didn't even know what a VO was. Like a VO is a voiceover. I had no idea, nothing. And so you can imagine I walked into a newsroom, 0 experience, former Miss USA. Not everyone was like, I
was going to say,
welcoming.
Do you feel like you were a little judged for being a beauty queen?
Definitely judged. Didn't realize that though until a couple of incidents that actually happened. And because I was always looking back on myself, I just thought everyone, like, why would someone not like someone? Like, it was just always like, I always saw the good, and so I was always like, yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm a reporter, and like,
not so fast.
Yeah. No. And, a couple of things happened where I grew some thick skin and it hurt for the first 6 months. I was like, whoa, I was kind of used to it from females, just from the pageant world. I was used to a little bit of the cold, like, cause you're competing, like some people played those games in the pageant. But when a couple of guys did it to me, I was like, what, am I doing something wrong? So I checked myself. And then eventually I just realized, like, you need to kind of like grow up a little bit and realize that it's a dog eat dog world a little bit and just keep being yourself, but you don't have to make everyone happy. And it's great advice. Like, you're not always going to make everyone happy, right? Not everyone's always going to like you. I always wanted people to like me. And it's okay if they don't.
Where do you think that came from, that wanting people to like you?
I don't know. I think it's because I like people. So I'm like, I like people. Like, why wouldn't they like me?
Right.
Like, I'm nice and like, why wouldn't they like me? And so when they were mean to me or negative or catty or didn't speak to me, it hurt. It was sort of like, wow, but it was growing. It was a growing process for me, right? And so maybe I got down and dirty at that point and started learning the craft.
Right.
And so bad in the beginning. I don't know about you.
Oh, I was awful.
Awful.
And same thing. I was in San Luis
Awful.
Obispo and then I went to Fresno. I didn't necessarily get the nicest reception from everyone.
Yeah.
Because I think they assume, in my case, assumed, oh, she's from LA. She thinks she's hot shit. She's just going to come here and, blow a year and get experience on a resume and leave. But I had to really show that I'm serious and I wanted to learn the craft.
Yeah.
And that's when you earn your journalistic stripes.
Yes. And I think back to the pageant, it's like making a decision. I think also, too, they probably didn't realize how tough you and I probably really are, and that we actually wanted to learn the craft and that give us a challenge, and we're going to take it not 100%, we're going to do like 1,000%.
And I think when you're a beautiful woman, which you are,
thank you.
People almost want to see you struggle a little bit in those early days. They want to see if you're really serious.
I did. I struggled. And my friends were so amazing. They were like, no, the live shot really didn't look as bad as it probably felt, because I'd call and be like, I've stumbled, what. And I look back and I'm like, oh, they were so lying to me.
Do you remember your first live shot?
I don't remember my first live shot, but I do remember the first time being on a set with the anchors. 2 anchors, and then I was the reporter. I don't know what the story was. I'm sure something about education, but I definitely had a script in the prompter. So for those listening, basically the anchor would say, hey, and Lou Parker's here with that part of the story. Lou? And so then I'd be like, hey, Tom and John or whatever. And then I'd turn to go to look at my prompter and hope that it's there, which I'm not knowledgeable on how to read a prompter. I turn to read the prompter and it is just flying, like it's spinning. And I had not necessarily memorized what I was going to say, nor was I good enough to ad lib. I don't know what happened. I can't remember what I did, but it was a reminder to always be prepared.
Yes.
And in TV, just as in life, you've got to be prepared for things to go awry, right?
Yes.
You don't have to be paranoid, but just kind of be a little like flexible.
Right. Holding space for being in the moment.
Yes.
Because that's where the magic happens, but also having something to fall back on.
I mean, I'm sure I looked down at my script and fumbled and like whatever, but yeah.
But that's why we go to these small markets to learn.
Exactly.
People always ask, why do you have to move far for news? So you can mess up.
Yep.
My first live shot was in Fresno because in San Luis Obispo, we weren't doing live shots. And for those of you who don't know, I was getting a mixed minus in my ear.
Oh, no.
And a mixed minus is when you can hear yourself as you're speaking. So imagine you're hearing yourself blasted in your ear as you're speaking. And I'm trying to talk and read the prompter. I sounded drunk.
Yeah, I bet.
My news director called me. He's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, but I was hearing myself. Am I always supposed
and
to hear myself?
And it was probably your first mixed minus too.
Yes.
So you probably thought maybe a producer's talking to me, which takes a second to realize that it's you.
I didn't realize that. I thought this is how it always is. And I thought, I can't possibly talk and hear myself at the same time. What is this?
Yeah.
So we figured it out.
Yeah, TV's fun. And then I slowly started filling in anchoring and then put together a tape and then was able to get the next job and move to San Antonio, Texas. So I was like, I'm halfway to LA by getting to Texas.
Right. It's like that inch by inch, like climbing the ladder.
Yeah. And so, you just learn, you just learn the business and you get better as the time goes by. And I used to come out to LA and like drive up to Mulholland and again, didn't know I was manifesting or visualizing. I would come out here on vacation just to be on vacation. I'd spend my time out here hoping that someone would find me on the streets. No, I'm just kidding. I would drive up to Mulholland and look at the lights at night, all the glittery lights, so beautiful. And I remember thinking, I really want to be here. I can see myself here. Whoever's out there, universe, God, like show me how I'm supposed to get here, how I'm supposed to be here. But I didn't know I was manifesting. I just knew that I wanted to be here. And so for those who understand the concept of manifestation, I don't know if we can all understand it. It sounds really woo-woo, but I really do believe just believing in yourself and asking the powers that be, like maybe I'm not supposed to be in LA, but if not, show me where I am supposed to be, right? And trust and then allow it to happen.
Don't try to control it.
Yes.
Do you find that we manifest easier when we don't know when we're manifesting? Because I've manifested big things in my life, but majority of it happened when I was younger and I wasn't aware I was manifesting.
Interesting.
And I think that, relates to being able to let it go.
Yeah.
Because we're younger, so you're almost just in the flow of wanting something, but you're not holding it too tightly.
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, similar to when I was doing the crown thing, I wasn't holding on to that, right? Because I didn't know I was manifesting. We know the term now. It is. It's like that study where they had like some peanuts in a cage, and the monkeys could put their hand through the cage to get the peanuts. And the ones who just let it go, like released a little bit, were able to pull the arm back out with the peanuts. But the ones that grasped and made a fist, initially they would not let them bring it out because you're grasping too hard, right? You're trying to control it a little too hard. And that's one thing I'm really working on right now as well, is just trust the path, allow it to happen, because we are our personalities. And I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm assuming just you're, very successful and you've done a lot of things in your life. And we have a tendency to be A personalities where we can feel like we can control a situation. And by just letting that control go and releasing the grip just a little bit on it, it does. And maybe that's answering your question, is that when we release the grip on things, they have a tendency to open. And I think we're allowing ourselves to receive at that point. And receiving is a big word.
It is a big, big word.
Wow.
Yes. And when you allow yourself to receive without trying to control, you can actually receive more than you ever thought.
Yes.
Because you're not limiting yourself to your idea of what you could receive.
Yes. Because it's not always your idea.
Right.
They always say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Plan, right. And life as it happens when you're busy making other plans.
Yes.
I believe that too.
Yes.
I'm with you. Absolutely. I'm learning to trust and just be at ease with things. I know what I want. I know what my standards are. But the biggest lesson I've learned is I'm going to be okay if it doesn't work out. And that's how I learned to just surrender it.
Yeah. Easier said than done.
Very hard. Very hard. How did you come to this realization?
I think just through doing the work. I do a lot of breath work, which is a new concept meditation used to be a new concept for me years ago, like 10 years ago. I've always been a seeker. I've always done the work and read and know that there's more than just our physical body. I know there's spiritual stuff out there. So I've always been that person. And by the way, always want to be that person until I take my last breath. So I started meditation years ago, and that was cool. And then I heard about breath work, and I was like, oh, that's for that's intense, right? But once you do it, breath is everything. Our breath is, so there's this, I can't remember, I think it's called holotropic breath work. And if anybody knows if I'm saying that incorrectly, but basically back in the 70s, these people tried to emulate what breathing, how we could breathe enough that would simulate basically being on acid or LSD back in the 70s, like a super high, just really in touch with your subconscious. And they created the 3-part breath. And the 3-part breath just opens up so much in your heart, and your meridians of your heart. And I think it just helps to release things. So once all that started happening for me, then I was able to say, allow, right? That's what showed up for me, was allow, which has now turned into receive. So receiving love, receiving compliments.
Why is that difficult for you?
I'm still working on that. I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't, it's really, the receiving is pretty new, like in the last year, just a receiving and allowing things to happen. And I would tell you if I knew, but that's what I'm working on, because I have a tendency. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful thing that you can admit that.
Yeah.
To say, I'm still
Thanks.
working on this.
Yeah.
I don't have it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to KTLA.
Okay.
How did you get the job at KTLA?
I had a great agent, Kenny Lindner, and he went to bat for me. Like, he knew I wanted to be in LA. And the secretary at the time to the news director said that she's never had an agent call or knock on the door of the news director ever before Kenny trying to get me there.
It's funny because news is one of the few businesses where I think tenacity speaks volumes.
Yes.
So even if you email the news director 20 times, he's not going to think it's weird, because that's what we do as reporters. We have to bug until we get the answer.
They're not going to go, oh, that's what they're getting on my nerves, because that's how you get the interview.
Right. She's determined.
Yes. Yes. So I got that job and could not have been happier. Like, I mean, my picture on the California driver's license, I look so happy. Just, I'm in LA. I think I was on a high for like 5 years.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't even know. I was just like, la,
How do you
la,
explain that high to someone when you finally get that job, that dream job? I felt it when Don came to San Diego and said, you're coming to LA, girl.
Yeah.
What was that moment like for you?
It feels great. And it also doesn't feel real in a weird way as well. And it felt right. It was time, right?
Where were you in your life personally at the time?
I'd been in San Antonio. Was I dating anyone at the time? I can't remember if I was. I was dating someone at the time. That didn't work out, unfortunately, because he was in San Antonio and I just bounced. Yeah.
So now you're in LA. Did you start as an anchor or were you a reporter at first?
So this is funny. I was weekend co-anchor evenings with Frank Buckley.
Oh, wow. So you were Courtney and Frank was Rick back then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Frank was my first TV husband at KTLA.
Uh-huh.
And I reported 3 days a week. Now I'm general assignment reporting now too in LA, which is, that's a big thing in LA, because it's like, you never know what story you're going to get at that point. And then over the years, I've done everything. I've done mornings. I've done weekend mornings. I've done weekend evenings. I've done evenings. I did a 9-month stint of weather 100 years ago. And now I'm dayside, and I've been doing dayside for a really long time, for like 10 years.
When was the first moment where you felt like people are recognizing me? Because it's it is a very visible job. And to be in it for as long as you have, you almost have more recognition and visibility than someone who's on a TV show as an actress.
Yeah, and because we're in their living rooms too,
every
and their
day.
kitchens and every day. Yeah. I forget that, to be honest. I love my job so much. It feels like home when I bump on the set. I don't really think, I'm in someone's living room or whatever. But I know that I think I started getting recognized about 5 years in, but I would definitely say now that I've been there 20 years, it's much more, it happens much more frequently. And I think people don't say hi sometimes, or don't, like, they just say hi, but they're not like, I know who you are,
exactly.
but then others do, which I love.
And people are so sweet. We have the nicest viewers. Really, and I'm in the field, so I get it all the time.
Yep.
And they're so kind.
They are. It's KTLA. It is. It's like, I mean, just all the stations, just in general. Like when you are telling stories of disaster in people's neighborhoods, shootings or fires or earthquakes, and even stories that don't even affect people here locally per se and their family, they're grieving for, say, like the floods in Texas where the girls were killed at the camp. Like, that is a collective grief, right? That we're voicing, right? And having to share that, and they're hearing that from us, which is one part of our job that I think is very difficult, that I think we have learned as journalists to suppress. I would love to see journalists have more outside mental health resources.
Do you think it ever gets... I know it does. So I'm going to rephrase that question. It can get very heavy. Yeah. Especially when we're talking about some of those big stories.
Yep.
And you're on uninterrupted for
Yeah.
several hours talking about a mass shooting that's happening somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you're so busy learning all the details, but also at the same time, you can't help but feel for those people. Or if it's something happening right here in LA, how do you deal with all the negativity?
Well, and I think that's the point, is that why I think we all need more mental health resources is because we have learned as a defensive mechanism is to suppress it.
Yes.
Which is the opposite of what I'm working on in my personal life, is to not suppress emotions.
Do you think news has contributed to you being a little more detached in life?
Possibly.
It made
I've
me
never
numb.
thought about that, but possibly. And it's weird because I'll be fine for like 6 weeks, like really bad stories, like big, really bad stories. And I'll be done with work and I'll just that goes in that box. And then I'll just be on the set one day and there'll be like one little 40-second story that has a soundbite of someone. And I almost can't read the trailing part of it. And I'm like, get yourself together. And it's like, that story wasn't the one, but it was the culmination of all the other stories that then like kill me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But then we have positive stories too, which I try to bring back, like bring that into the fray as well. Because anyway, back to the mental health resources. I just think it's important for all journalists out there that are listening, is like, just be aware. I know we all know we're doing it. And same thing with first responders, like guys and women that work with police and ambulance. And, that's a lot that they take on, their first responders,
Because we're also going into survival mode when we now have to tackle this story, whether it's you're tackling it in the newsroom or me tackling it in the field.
Yeah.
Our job is to get all the facts, to sum it up, and to make it digestible for people, right?
Yeah.
But we forget sometimes that we're taking on all of that and we're the filter now. But how do you then at the end of the day unpack all of that?
Exercise, my dog, meditation, the breath work on the weekends, I think works. Having supportive friends, and when I am dating, have someone who is empathetic and loving and can understand what my job is, and not just she's on TV.
Yes. You mentioned dating, and you dated a very high profile. Let's just say, you dated the mayor of LA.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Years ago. We had a great time. It was a little weird in the beginning because it was the first time really that a journalist, and now it's like can happen. It's people are fine with it. Well, that's not true because Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver obviously were like the first high profile ones, but it was a little sticky in the beginning. People were like, and like freaking out about it, but it ended up being fine. And we had a really great time. I actually took a year off from work and started a nonprofit back then, and was able to spend more time with him because he had to go to dinners and events almost every single night. And so we just had fun. We were together almost 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like we did the best we could under the circumstances that we were in, because we were such a spotlight. I mean, the mayor of a city like LA, and when we see Mayor Karen Bass, like it's never ending, right? And to then also be able to maintain a healthy relationship.
Right.
Antonio did a good job of that, and I wasn't friends with him for about 2 years. I was like really mad at him
afterwards
for a long time. Like I basically ghosted him for 2 years, but we're friends now. And, it's like, and that's what I love, is that I love to be friends with people who I have spent time with, who have come into my life and been a part of my life. I think it's so important to realize, again, we do the best we can with the knowledge that we have at that time, and people make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past. I've hurt a lot of people in relationships before. And sorry if you're listening. And I also know that everyone shows up for a particular lesson, right? And they may stay longer, they may stay a lifetime. And if they leave, or if you leave, it hurts, but it's okay. Like, look at the growth. Let's look at the growth. So I always try to look at the positive after I grieve.
Yes. What do you think you learned from your relationship with Antonio?
I think I learned the ability to communicate. He was one of the first ones who got me talking, because I have a tendency to run, or did in the past. I would run from relationships when things got complicated, and he's big. Yeah, right? And you know what that is? It's avoidance, right? We're avoiding the tough talk, or avoiding like going deep, right? And that's okay. We can be compassionate with ourselves. We didn't know when we didn't know. It's going to be a lifetime of
self-mastery.
Yes. But I remember having a conversation with him, and and I was like ready to go, right? Because we had an argument. And because I wasn't good with conflict. I still don't like conflict, but I realized that conflict actually can enhance a relationship, because you grow deeper together, and you actually speak truth, you speak pain, and then you grow together and bloom. But I was wanting to run, and he was like, oh, so you're going to put your running shoes on now and go, right? And when he said that, no one had ever said that to me before. And I was like, oh, do I put running shoes on? Right? And so I learned to sit in conversations, which was nice. It also taught me to walk into a room. I already knew how to walk into a room and be confident, but that man can walk into a room and like own the room.
Yes,
you know?
He's very charismatic.
Yes, he's very great. And he's like fun, you know? So I think it was just the art of working really hard. He loved his job, working really, really hard, but also having a lot of good times at the same time, a good balance.
Yeah, that's really important. Why do you think that relationship didn't work? I
mean, there are a lot of reasons that I'm not going to like necessarily publicly share, but
why not?
but I think it just wasn't our thing. You know, it wasn't our time, and I definitely wasn't ready, and so it's all good.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was easy. Now it's easy to look back on it, So
in retrospect, considering you have such a big high-profile job yourself, you're a news anchor at KTLA, you've been in high-profile relationships, this one in particular. Do you ever feel like Lou got lost, or maybe took a back seat?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure, like how you were talking about the little Lou or Miss Lou, or the little girl who grew up in South Carolina, and the little Alina that grew up in Glendale. Like all of a sudden life happens.
Right.
Life happens, and we're on a treadmill. Relationships, work, in your case, kids, in my case, dogs. It all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, what happened to little Lou, right? And so I actually have a picture of me as a little girl with my brother, with my arm around him, and he's got like these saggy diapers on, in my bathroom on my counter, just to remind myself of the little Lou, right? So when I'm having a bad day or judging myself in the mirror, what would little Lou, more importantly, how would I treat little Lou? How would I treat that young Lou? Would I say to her, like, your hair looks like hell, or you have puffy eyes, things like that? Like,
can you imagine that little girl absorbing that?
Right. So she does get lost. I think all of our little people get lost, right? And so my challenge is to people listening, and one thing that I'm working on actively is to remember her at any age, whatever that age is. My age, the one I think of is the little Lou on a porch in South Carolina in a subdivision, and it was pouring down rain. And I was on the end of the patio area. It's like a porch area. And I had a tea set and maybe a couple of dolls. And I could not have been happier, more content to get rainwater from the water coming down and filling up my teapot to share with it was so innocent and so sweet. Why do I remember that? Right? But that's the little girl I want to remember when I'm like being tough on myself. But some people think of themselves as teenagers. Some think of themselves.
Right. We all have that moment where we're frozen in a way, right?
Yes.
That we think back on.
Yes.
How do you speak to her now? And how are you kind to her now?
Very gently. I look at it as I'm taking care of her. Right? And then when you realize that she's inside and she's always been there, that's the crazy thing.
Right.
And now she's just back. She was dormant for a while.
She's so proud of you.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how far you've come.
Yeah.
everything that you decided to do,
Yeah.
you did.
And she was with me in the grief. She was with me in the wins. She, and she'll be with me when I take my last breath.
Yeah.
So
I'll share something with you. I did hypnosis recently and we were on a train and she kept asking me, look for little Alina. Where is she? And I couldn't find her. And now I understand the reason I couldn't find her in my hypnosis is because I'm looking for her now as I'm becoming in this stage, right, of my life where I've really made a lot of changes and made decisions. I'm still trying to reconnect with her and honor her and what she wants and what she really wants out of this life. Not everything I thought I needed to do that probably is so disconnected from what she wants from me.
What I hear you say is what you thought you needed to do.
What I thought I needed to do.
According to like who?
Life, right? Society, how we're hard on ourselves.
Yes.
You want to be this version of you because you think everything that conditions you and says, this is going to be the ultimate Alina. And now when I went through the destruction of that ultimate Alina, how do I now reconnect with that little girl and say, what do you want? What's going to make you really happy? What made your heart pitter patter at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? And what can I do to give you that now as an adult?
And protect you, right? And love you. Yeah. Not even like, for me, it's not what you need or meaning like what else is on the plate of success. It's more of how can I really love you? Like no matter who you are. Like if we weren't in TV anymore or doing this podcast anymore and we were never allowed to do any of that, be in the spotlight again, who would you be, right? So that's always the question. Like, you're going to be Alina. You're still going to be Alina, and I'm still going to be Lou.
But who is Lou, all that aside?
I always say I'm a mix. I'm a gypsy, definitely. A little bit of a gypsy country girl. I love to be with nature and animals. And I love helping like creatures. And people. I think I would be, like I always fantasize about going and staying in a cabin for like a month with my dog and like writing and just getting really quiet and kind of reconnecting.
Seeing what comes up. You told me earlier that you struggled with finding your voice, which is so ironic considering your job is to use your voice. When did that come up for you?
I think it's been an evolution. I don't know if it was one specific. I know that there were a couple of times years ago that I should have used my voice and like a lot of us. And I didn't speak up for myself, whether it was in a relationship or something that happened at work or something publicly that happened to me or that I went through. I was paralyzed and didn't use my voice just out of fear of being judged or left or whatever the fear was, right? And then all of a sudden it just started evolving. And I think it's because I really started getting honest with myself and like speaking truths to myself, right? And understanding it's okay to voice your truth. There's this whole saying that a guy named Case Kinney said in a book of his. He basically said that when you're clear with someone about something, whether it's at work or in a relationship or a friendship, when you're clear and you speak your truth, you win no matter what, right? Because two things happen. You either get what you want by speaking that, or you get what you need. And so both ways you win, but it's terrifying to speak your truth. It's terrifying to say, hey, this is where I stand on this. Is this where you are?
Because we're afraid of being rejected.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Let's equate it to a relationship, right?
Yeah.
We're both single gals. Are you single right now?
Yes.
Okay, I am too. I'm learning.
Want a date?
Huh? Might as well. Yes, I will say it right now. Friday night, you be ready. Picking you up. But in relationships, I'm now learning, as I'm dating, right? I want to say everything that I want in a graceful way, right?
Yeah.
When the time comes for it.
Yeah.
But we're afraid because you think, well, what if he doesn't like me? Or what if later on he'll come to that understanding on his own? So let me not say. Now we can think of all the reasons, right?
Yeah.
But if you can clearly state, Terry Cole was on this podcast. I think she was like episode 3. She said, laying down what you want is giving people the roadmap on how to love you.
Wow. Yeah. And to your point, we're not taught that. We're not taught that. We're taught, be a good girl.
Be modest.
Be modest. Be pretty.
Yes.
Don't speak. Don't make too much noise.
Yeah. Or are you going to be looked at as difficult, as someone who wants too much or is naggy? But I think if you can approach it from a kind place and from a loving place, there's so much liberty. And what holds me in being able to say that, I simply say, I'm going to be fine regardless.
Right. Because you get what you need.
Yes.
You get what you need.
And you switch it. Yeah. Instead of wanting to be chosen by this person, you're choosing them.
Yes.
And you can say the same thing with a job too. You know, even though they're hiring you and they're choosing you, but I'm going to show up in this energy like I already have it.
Yeah.
Right? And be the one who's making the choice. So therefore I can say, I need this from this situation. I need this from you.
Without controlling, that's where I would get confused by it. I was like, am I controlling this situation by speaking my truth? And then I'm like, no, I'm not controlling. I'm just speaking my truth. I'm not demanding anything from you. I'm just saying, this is where I stand. This is what my belief is. This is what I would like. And if that's something that you're on board with, that would be amazing. And if they're not, and it feels so yucky. It feels so yucky to go there. And when you get your answer, even if it's need or want, whatever shows up, whatever their answer is, there's a freedom when you get the answer.
Yes.
Right? As opposed to just hoping that just kind of not voicing it. And then it builds.
Yes.
Right. And you act out some other way.
Right. You become reactive. I don't want to be in that space.
No.
I don't want to be in that gray area where I don't know. Does he know? Can he smell it? No.
Yeah.
I just want to say it.
Yeah.
Because there is freedom.
Yeah, there's freedom. And freedom is key, I think.
How do you think people respond to you having your voice and saying these things? Do you think they're receptive?
I think people are receptive. Looking back, one of my friends, I think, was much more evolved than me years ago. And I remember her bringing something up to me about our friendship, probably because I was shutting down with something. And it agitated me that she spoke her truth, right? So she got what she needed from me, right? Meaning that I kind of was like, I can't deal with this too much, too much going on in the friendship. So I walked away from that. So back to me, if I'm speaking a truth, how people are reacting to me, I don't know how they're going to react because it's their stuff, right? I'm standing strong in my truth, saying what I believe and what I would like. And I just have to know that wherever they are on their path is how they're going to react. It's not my stuff anymore, right?
You have to give people the dignity to show up.
Yeah.
And how at whatever level.
Or not show up.
Or not show up.
Or not show up.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, Lou Parker and I have dated the same man. You heard it here first. Do you find dating difficult in LA?
Sometimes.
Especially being on TV, do you find that a lot of people want to date you because of who you are?
Oh, I don't know. That's one of my fears, but I don't know if that's why people are dating me necessarily, but I think dating's hard everywhere.
Right.
I think everyone's like, the men in LA are so bad. And they actually aren't. There are actually some really cool men here.
Yeah.
I have a lot of great men, guy friends and women too. And I've had some amazing relationships, and I've had some bad relationships, but what relationship is really bad? Unless it's abusive or emotionally abusive, I think I just think it's two souls coming together when they're supposed to come together, and it's fun.
Yeah.
I just look at it as fun.
And it's great to be a woman who can take care of herself and you have this independence and you've committed your life to really getting to know you. And I think you've embraced that the greatest relationship you're going to have is the one with yourself.
Yeah.
And
Ultimately.
so therefore you're able to look at dating as come on down. Let's see what amazing experience we're going to have.
Yeah. Well, also, I think too, like finding someone who can meet you where you are and you can meet them where they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully grow together spiritually,
Yes.
And not religiously necessarily, but just spiritually, like both do the work. We're going to trigger each other, right? We all have our stuff because we're little kids, right? We're basically little kids in adults' bodies on a playground.
Totally.
With ego.
Do you think that ever goes away? Do we ever grow up?
No.
No, right?
No. And by the way, I don't really want to grow up. I just want to be more spiritually evolved.
Yes.
Right?
I think it's a matter of reacting to life in a more mature way.
Yes.
But always holding on to that innocence.
Yes.
But with the innocence also comes some of the pain and, just nurturing and loving your way through life.
Well, without darkness, there's not light.
Yes.
Right?
Rumi.
So there's always darkness and then you appreciate the light.
Yeah, I do. I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever feel like you wanted to get married?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was never a goal for many, many years. Like I was just like running through life, having fun and knew I would have kids one day. And then I woke up and I was like 42 and I was like, uh-oh, I didn't freeze eggs that no one told me like, uh-oh. And so that's sometimes I struggle with that a little bit.
Really?
But the marriage thing, it was never a thing. I'd been asked a couple of times, but I wasn't ready. And then like a little bit later in life, I realized maybe a couple of relationships that I was in maybe longer or that were more intense or not, that I just felt like, okay, I can see myself now. I'm open to that. I see that, I do come from a divorced family and I used to always say, my parents' divorce was great. They never fought. Like, it didn't affect me at all. Like, I said that for years.
Uh-huh.
And now I realize that, of course, it affected me. The thing is, the reason they weren't fighting is because they didn't know how to communicate and everything was brushed under the rug. So I have no communication skills, right? But they did such a great job as parents. Like they remained friends. My dad was at every one of our basketball, cheerleading, pageant, football, whatever my brother and I were doing. He was always there because he lived 2 hours away. My mom raised 3 boys and me. Like, just it was a great way to grow up. And it just wasn't a thing for me. I have friends at 18 that were like, I can't wait to get married and have 5 kids. And I remember thinking, I just want to go to the Grateful Dead concert.
Okay, it's tough to look up the Grateful Dead. But I will say something. When I first walked in at KTLA, you have this energy.
Aww.
And the energy, aside from being beautiful, you're tall, you're statuesque, you carry yourself in a certain way, you wear the crown, even today. But your kindness and your positivity.
Thanks.
I remember one day, and this was the first time you said this, you say it all the time. I said, how are you, Lou? So good. You said, I'm so good. People don't always reply that way.
Yeah.
Where does that positivity come from?
I've always been happy. I always not always happy, but like I wake up happy. Like I skew on the happy side. My parents skew on the happy side. I mean, I can't imagine me like, I'm okay. Like,
right? But a lot of people do. They say, I'm okay, not bad, it's all right.
Yeah.
But you said, I'm so good. And you smiled. And I remember thinking, I'm like, I want to be so good. I want to be so good all the time, and maybe because I didn't feel like that at that moment, because I went through a lot no one saw, between having 2 babies, moving 2 homes, going through this whole, breakdown of self and breakdown of life.
Yeah.
I went through a lot that, so for me to look at you and to, I didn't know that much about your personal life. I mean, not at all at the time.
Yeah.
But to hear you say so good, and I'm like, that's a beautiful place to be. I don't know what it is, but I like it.
Yeah.
You feel that energy.
Every day that we wake up and our heart is beating and our lungs are breathing air and we can get out of the bed and go do what we love, whatever that is, raise kids, go to work, exercise. There are a lot of people who can't do that, whether they're sick or they're bedridden or they're dealing with something. Like just seeing feeling the gratitude of being alive and that's where it helps me stay grounded. to realize that, there's a lot of things going on in the world and you have a roof over your head, you have a comfortable bed, you have a great job. Like, why would I not be so good?
Exactly.
Why would I not be? And I want to say to you too, I didn't even know you were going through what you were going through with your breakup. And you're always so classy and graceful at work. And you didn't come to work like, I'm going through this breakup and, and like sharing it all, like spewing it all over. And I know you were dying inside, probably like dying.
And it needed to die.
I know, but still it's grief, right?
Oh,
it's grief and or whatever, all the things that you go through. It's hard for anybody to go through that, but then to put your face on and go like be on TV and be like, good morning.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's like you can hide when you're not in TV sometimes. I think you can hide.
Yeah. And I think TV allows us to hide sometimes too.
Yeah.
Because the hair, the makeup, and the persona you step into, it's a good shield.
Yes,
and
it is.
Sometimes that can work against you.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And that's why my gypsy breathing Grateful Dead, like wanting to just be free. It's the Grateful Dead was, it was like a hippie band, but it's just the concept of being free and, not a lot of makeup and barefoot and dancing and movement and just joy.
I love that.
I think that's why I was connected to it.
Yeah. So looking ahead, the name of this podcast is Breaking Through.
Oh, okay.
What is the next thing you're hoping to break through in your life?
I would love to write a book.
Oh. What would it be about?
I think a lot of the things that we're talking about today, I don't want it to be a memoir, and I don't want it to be a list of things that you can do to better your life, but just my life and the things that have challenged me and the things that have been beautiful in my life and the lessons I've learned, the behind the scenes of TV, also trusting your voice, learning to speak up for yourself as a woman, loving other women, respecting other women, celebrating other women.
Yes.
It's so important.
So important.
So important.
There's so much. My female relationships, like love them.
Yeah, me too.
It's so important.
Yeah, it's key. It's back in the day when the men were off hunting, the women stayed together, and that's where like belly dancing started, and because we were entertaining each other, because we were back, cooking and doing things back at the TP or wherever we were with the Native Americans when they were hunting. And there's a joy in that. Like when you're in a group with women, like the other night we had 8 women who got together and we did a murder mystery dinner.
I saw that. Courtney's hosted it.
We laughed, no phones, except just to take a couple of pictures and stuff, but we laughed, genuinely laughing with each other, and then truth-telling at the end of the table about like all kinds of stuff. And I felt my soul was full when I left that dinner.
Good. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, my soul is full right now because we got to connect in a completely different way. And we're going out on a date very soon.
Yes. If you guys see us out, say hello.
Don't be surprised. Why wouldn't we? We'd make the best looking couple
ever.
Lou, I love you. This was so
girlfriend.
Nice. Thank you so much for opening your heart and your time and being here.
And now we both have to go to work.
We do.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Let's go.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Breaking Through with Alina Obervian. For our community to grow, please like and share, and also leave a review on this episode. Of course, you can find me on social media and let me know what you'd like to talk about in future episodes. Nothing is off limits, so let's have some fun.